What's up guys, it's Roger and welcome back to the channel. And today we are playing some Trials of Osiris, trying out the new and improved Void Warlock. Now what exactly was buffed on our Voidlock? Now you're going to see right down here something new, which is Chaos Accelerant now has 2 fragment slots. That was something that was really holding it behind before. You could only have 3 fragments if you wanted to run Chaos Accelerant. Not to mention that these scatter nades on Chaos Accelerant used to be absolute booty cheek holes. Why, you may ask? Well, here's the thing. When you would overcharge a scatter nade before, what would happen is the submunitions would actually track into each other and they would hit each other. That would lose you a lot of damage and your one-shot potential on enemies. That's not very fun now, is it? No. So, it's actually a little better now. From what I saw today, the tracking does look quite good, and having an extra fragment slot doesn't hurt at all. Since we're already on our Void 3.0, we might as well go ahead and break down what we're using. Now, we are going to be using Nova Bomb Vortex. You do want to shut down Super. In this season of Trials of Osiris, remember guys, Trials just changed game modes to Dominion. Dominion is just capture point Trials. So you're always going to want either a bubble, a well, or a shutdown super if you have one in your subclass. Now over here we have a Healing Rift, Blink of course because I'm not some little floaty freak, Pocket Singularity because we have so many other choices, but I don't know, all these other choices, they just don't really look like they're that good, so I usually use Pocket Singularity. Here we have Scatter Nades, of course, this is the new one that actually got changed with the overcharge, so I want to try it out. And then, of course, you already know we have Chaos Accelerant, but we also have Feed the Void. This gives us 2 more fragment slots, and it lets us proc our Devour off any ability kills. Down here for our fragments, we have Echo of Dilation, so we get extra crouch, movement speed, and while we are crouched, our radar is actually much more in tune. We can see exactly where our enemies are and break down to get that very in-tuned information, so we can push upon our enemies with that information. Now over here we have Echo of Persistence. This says void buffs applied to you. Invisibility, Overshield, and Devour have increased duration. That's going to make the initial proc of our Devour go from 10 seconds to 15 seconds. Here we have Echo of Expulsion. This says void ability final blows cause targets to explode, so you kill somebody with your Pocket Singularity or your nade, and they will do a secondary explosion that can take out enemies that are holding hands. A Echo of Vigilance, which is one of my favorite new echoes that we actually got last season, I believe it was. This says that you get a Void Overshield if you kill somebody when you have your shields broken. Happens quite a bit. It can help you get out of trouble because you have a little bit of extra health. So if people start shooting your booty cheeks when you're running away, you can soak up a few extra bullets and get out of trouble. Or you can actually keep gas pedaling on someone and maybe you procced your Devour and your Echo of Vigilance at the same time. Then you have so much extra health that you can just flatten the next guy pretty simply. Now, since we're staying on the Void theme here, we're going to be trying out the new and improved Graviton Lance. Oh baby, I'm excited for this one, and I know a lot of other people were too. Now, the Graviton Lance is a pulse rifle that has absolutely been getting its cheek holes clapped for a long time. This thing has got bussy bopped back and forth for the past few years, but it's actually pretty darn good now. They actually made it more damage on the initial hits from this thing, so it's not so backloaded with its damage now, so you can get the kills much easier. It also shoots a little faster now. It has the same kind of 2-burst fire as the Revision 0 does. So pretty simple from this thing. Black hole, second shot of a burst rips a hole through space-time, just like any other gun should. And it does high damage and recoil with no fall-off, so no damage fall-off, of course, on that second shot. Very good. But most importantly, we have Cosmology here. Kills this weapon cause enemy targets to detonate and spawn void projectiles that track targets. You'll see in the gameplay today I get a few kills with the Cosmology little void things. They actually do pretty good at getting multi-kills, and I'm impressed with them quite a bit. You do want to get the Catalyst here. It just gives you Vorpal weapons and Turnabout when you have the Catalyst. So you can smack people in their supers very easily, and if you do kill them while they're in their super, you get a full overshield, so that's pretty nice. Now we're actually running a double primary build today, and we're going to be using a very new gun called the Rapacious Appetite. Now I just released a God Roll review on this thing 2 days ago, I believe, so I'll put that on the end screen in the top right in case you're interested in watching that next. But I gotta tell you guys, this thing slaps pretty hard. So we have to keep something in mind. The Immortal SMG got nerfed. It lost 10 base range off of it. Now you do still get more range on most rolls of the Immortal, especially when it's a depth and you can have a depth range on it. However, this thing can be crafted is what we need to remember. So what makes Immortal so good is it actually gets increased damage fall off because it has target lock on it. But this thing has target lock on it too, my boys. Now, like I said, we can craft this thing so we can actually get enhanced target lock soon enough. So wait for a couple weeks. I was already slapping people with their Immortals today with this thing. A couple weeks from now, we're going to have this thing crafted, most of us, and it's going to start slapping Immortals left and right. I'm telling you guys, pretty good AE with this thing. I put an Icarus grip on here. Of course, I get plus 30 AE with our Astrocyte first. So when I have this in my hand, I actually get 63 airborne effectiveness. It's pretty solid. I got a good roll here. 4 times the charm is not the best thing in the world, but it actually works quite well with target lock when you think about it. Now here we have our mods, of course. I just have on some stasis and void mods, you can see. And then when we actually want to create some orbs of power, we have 3 ways to do that. First, we have heavy-handed, so if we kill somebody with our empowered melees, we spawn an orb. Next, if we kill somebody with our nades, we spawn an orb. And last but not least, we have the Reaper mod, so if we actually kill somebody after placing our rift, then we spawn an orb of power. And then up here we have 3 ways that picking up those orbs of power is going to let us refill our abilities. We have Absolution, Innervation, and Orbs of Restoration. You can go ahead and pause and read these in depth if you would like to, but essentially they're just going to give us ability energy back when we do pick up an Orb of Power. Now last but not least down here we have 2 Bomber mods. Whenever we use our Rift, we're going to get around 20% of our grenade energy back, which is pretty solid. Last but not least, I want to talk about a few things here on our seasonal artifact. First of all, we have Unto the Breach. It says defeating a void debuff target creates a void breach while your void subclass is equipped. Pretty simple, a void breach, otherwise called a void Uzi, at least that's what I call it, and I'll show you those in the gameplay today when they do drop. When you get one of those to drop, it refills your class ability energy. Pretty simple. But we also have this, Protective Breach. Picking up a void Uzi gives you an overshield or refreshes your existing overshield. So, with this, we have another way to get overshields, which is pretty dang awesome. So keep that in mind. Make sure you do have these on if you're going to be using this build, because these are very, very good artifact perks right here. I know some of you do like to see the drip sometimes, so here you go in case you want to check out the drip. It's right here for you. Now, all that being said, I think we're ready to go ahead and get into this gameplay. Before we do, though, if you do want to leave me a like or subscribe at any point, I'd very much appreciate that. As well as the fact that if you want to support me even that farther mile, then go ahead and join my channel membership. That's called my Puff for People or my Little Puffs. It's 2 different tiers for $4.99 and 99 cents a month. Go ahead and click the join button below this video, and you can check out all the perks that come with that. But all that being said, I think we're ready to go ahead and get in this gameplay. So without further ado, let's go ahead and blink on into it. Starting off here, we have the second round of the day for you guys, because my first round was not very good, so I decided to go to the second round here. Now, first of all, I want to say shout out to one of my subscribers, Red Wolf, because he really likes Graviton, and he was like, Roger, you got to use it, and I was planning on using it anyways, but he really wanted a shout out, so you know what? Thanks, Red. You're a great guy. Anyways, now, coming into this gameplay, here's the thing I noticed with Graviton Lance. It feels pretty dang good now. The actual void trackers that come off when you do get a kill on somebody, they do a lot of damage, and they can get you kills pretty easily. Now, I like that a lot, but I'm not too used to the 2 burst yet. It took me a little while to get used to that. We might come back to the Graviton, but first I do want to talk about that little tracking nade that you just saw right there, because the big thing I do really want to focus on in this video is these overcharge nades, is Chaos Accelerant. Of course, it got buffed, and I'm telling you guys, you know, we're buff Voidlock, you know, that's the whole point of the video was. But what is my opinion on the buff to Chaos Accelerant? Well, you might not be too happy with the answer, but I'm not that big of a fan, and I'll tell you why. So for a long time, I've never been a big fan of Chaos Accelerant, because it just doesn't hold a candle to the other 2 aspects that we have on Voidlock. First of all, we can look at Devour, something that can fully refill your health multiple times in a round is insane. And on top of that, it gets you your grenade energy back too. So it doesn't just do one thing, it does multiple things. You can proc it off of any of your abilities, off of your already great nades, off of your Clarence, off of your Pocket Singularity. And that's what makes Devour so amazing. You have so many different things you can use with your fragments to actually enhance it, such as our Echo of Persistence, which makes it last for 15 frickin' seconds. That's insane, guys. Now, let's talk about Clarence. Child of the Old Gods, if you want to call him that, but on my channel, we call him Clarence. Clarence is my son from the Void. He'll suck cheeks harder than any street hooker ever could, and I love him for that. And he can do so much more. He locks down area. He weakens our enemies. He does damage. He can proc Devour for us. When you put all that together, it's no wonder that people use Devour and Clarence most of the time. Chaos Accelerant to me is kind of a for fun, left behind aspect when it comes to our Voidlock. It just doesn't match up. We can break it down for what it actually does, and let's go ahead and do that a little bit. First of all, we have the 4 nades that it can actually overcharge, right? We have Vortex Nade, which it makes bigger, and it makes it last longer. That one's pretty good. I do enjoy an overcharged Vortex Nade. Next up, we have Scatter Nades, which, like we said before, used to be really bad. Are they a little better now? Sure, they're a little better now, but here's the thing with overcharged Scatter Nades. They're so hard to actually be considered better at any point than regular Scatter Nades. I can sit here all day and eat a bag of goldfish, and I could fucking love it, baby boy. I love goldfish. Those little suckers are the snack that goddamn smiles back, and that puts a smile on my face too. That's why they're smiling back, because you better believe I am sitting there ear to ear grinning at that bag of goldfish in my lap. But here's the thing. If you sat a little bag of flavor blasted boys next to me, I would take those flavor blasted goldfish all day over the regulars because they're just better. And a regular Scatternade is the flavor blasted version. You would think it would be the other way, right? An overcharged Scatternade, which you have to risk your livelihood. You have to sit there and be a sitting duck while you overcharge that nade. It should be better, right? That should be our flavor blasted boys, but it's not. Let's see what it offers. It actually tracks our targets, right? It looks at their sweet little Carolina, cream cheese cheeks, and it tries to chase them down. That's great. I love that. And there's a few times today that I really figured out where that can be useful, and I'll tell you that, and I'll point it out in the gameplay when we get there. However, for the most part, you're losing out on your one-shot potential and a lot of damage when you overcharge your nades. Oh, by the way, right there you saw on the ground, what I just blinked through and picked up was called a Void Uzi, a Void Breach if you want to call it that, but that is one of the things that our artifact perk is going to let us get a full Void Overshield from when we go through and pick it up, so keep that in mind when you see that in the gameplay. But back to our Scatter Nade. There's just so many times when, like this right here, when I fly down mid, I throw a regular Scatter Nade. There's a few different reasons for that. One, look how much damage that regular Scatter Nade just did. Absolutely insane amounts. But then after that, it takes too long to overcharge the Scatter Nade. If I fly down mid lane and I try to overcharge a Scatter Nade, my enemies are going to get there before I can actually get it down lane. And I'm going to start taking damage, and then I'm probably just going to die. And I started realizing that really fast, that you can't sit there in mid. As fast as you are with your Astrocyte Blink, you can't get there fast enough. No matter what, even with a lightweight frame weapon on, you can't get there fast enough to overcharge an aid and throw it down lane and get your weapon readied. And that kind of sucks. But look right here. Do you see what I did right there? That is a perfect use for an overcharged Scatter Nade. And that clip is where I started realizing, okay, wait, there is actually some usefulness to these that I didn't quite see before. When somebody's behind a Titan Shield and you have a Scatter Nade, what I usually do is I just want to break that bitch down like I'm the Mongols and I'm fucking walking up to the Great Wall of China. I'm also not very good with history, so that could be completely wrong, but for the sake of the video, let's pretend it's right. Now, I want to break that down, so I usually just chuck the Scatter Nade and I start shooting my gun. But what you can do with overcharged Scatter Nades is overcharge them, throw them above the shield, and they'll start tracking onto the enemy. So they actually have different use cases that are very interesting. You can throw them under people. You saw earlier, one of the first clips I had for you today. Somebody was in toilet bowl. I threw down my overcharged Scatter Nade under their feet while they were dropping. It then rose up and seeked onto my enemy and chased them up through toilet bowl. So there's some definite awesome uses you can do with these overcharged Scatter Nades. But for the most part, I would say 75% of the time, you're going to be using the regular Scatter Nades. And that's where it kind of becomes a problem for me personally. Because here's the thing. I would rather just have Child of the Old Gods. I'd rather just have my baby boy Clarence than have overcharged nades. Oh, here's a kill with the Cosmology right there, by the way, from Graviton Lance, in case you were wondering, hey, where's the Cosmology kills? You promised me some. There's one for you, baby. But this is my ultimate point, is just, even still, with 2 fragment slots in Chaos Accelerant, it doesn't match up to having Devour and Clarence at the same time. Am I going to use Chaos Accelerant more now that it's buffed? 100% yes, I am. It's actually way better now. The 2 fragment slots makes a world of difference, and I'll make some fun builds with it. I promise I will. I'm going to unlock Nothing Manacles. We'll do a build with that soon, so stay tuned in the few coming weeks if you're interested in seeing that. But overall, I'm just kind of disappointed because there's so many other parts of Scatter Nades, or Overcharge Nades, that are still lackluster, and let's talk about those. So what other nades that we have not talked about that we can overcharge? Well, first of all, we have Magnetic Nades, which is the saddest point of a Voidlock's life. Do you guys remember back in the day when we had handheld Supernova? You could charge that thing up and you were a walking tractor cannon. You could make somebody's face melt with one little pocket singular handheld Supernova, right? And it was beautiful. Now they nerfed it into the ground. And nowadays, if you want to use handheld Supernova, first, you have to use Chaos Accelerant, which means that you are sacrificing either your Child of the Old Gods or you're sacrificing your Devour. That sucks. Let's keep going though, because that's just the tip of the iceberg. You also have to use one specific nade, which is your Magnetic Nade. Now, Magnetic Nades, even though I don't use them on the channel too much, are actually a really good nade, guys. You can Pocket Singularity somebody and Magnetic Nade them, and they'll just instantly die. It's a one-hit combo. And I don't often do that because I like focusing on gun skill more, but it's a great combo. And even still, Magnetic Nades do a shit ton of damage. The thing is, magnetic nades are better than the handheld. So you put on Chaos Accelerant, and then you're not even going to want to use it most of the time because you'd rather just use the magnetic nade over the handheld. So you're just wasting your aspect slot. And that's the problem. The last nade is Axion Bolts, right? And Axion Bolts, when you overcharge them, what do they do? Well, they just create an additional Seeker. Seriously? An additional Seeker? You know how many Axion Bolt Seekers you already create in PvP? 2. So overcharging them does 3. Do you know how often that's ever actually going to come into use? Not very. So we're running into a lot of problems here with our Chaos Accelerant. And it's nice that they've started to address the problems with it, but there's a lot more they need to actually go and look at. They need to make a total redesign of every overcharged nade to where they actually have something useful to them that makes them better than either Devour or Child of the Old Gods. And let me rephrase that, because they don't even need to be better, right? They just need to be on par. They need to be on the same level. Because when it comes down to it, 100% of the time, I'm going to pick those flavor blasted goldfish. Goldfish. Not the goldfish, because I don't know what that is. And I think you guys would too. But that's just the problem. Bungie has so many things in this game that have flavor blasted variants, and they just don't care about the original anymore. You know? They just sleep on it. And it's very sad to see. So hopefully Chaos Accelerant keeps getting some love, because it definitely deserves a little more. And if it could get that, I could see it becoming a very, very good aspect. But as it is right now, I'm just quite disappointed. I'm definitely glad that it's better, and I'm going to make some more fun builds with it like I was saying earlier, but overall, I think that they just underdid it. But, you know, even touching it all is a win when it comes to Bungie, because most of the time, they ignore any class that has Blink on it, so hey, we got buffs on 2 of our classes with Blink today, which is all the classes with Blink, but our Arc Hunter got buffed, and our Voidlock got buffed, so we can't be too mad. But yeah, there's a long way to go for Chaos Accelerant. It's very unfortunate, and just understand that I'm not saying in any way that Chaos Accelerant is bad, or that you can't succeed with it. People often conflate that. Oh, look how laggy this match was, by the way. Fun, thanks Bungie. People often conflate those things when you're saying like how something is lacking. They're like, why do you think it's so bad? It's actually really good, and I succeed with it all the time. It's like, I'm not telling you it's bad. I'm not saying it's bad. I can fully acknowledge right now that Chaos Accelerant is pretty good, but at the same time that we can acknowledge something is good, we can acknowledge its faults as well. So that's where I am with Chaos Accelerant. I really do hope to see a little more love its way, because I think it definitely deserves it. I think we can spend a little more time here talking about the Graviton Lance towards the end of the video here. I talked about it a little bit earlier. I had to get used to the spray pattern a little bit, and I'm still kind of bad with it. It's a very odd spray pattern, of course, only being a 2-burst pulse, which is a very unique thing in Destiny. So I'm just not quite good with it. But look at that right there. See that damage on top of that guy? Like I told you guys in the intro, we have Vorpal shots. We have Vorpal weapon and turnabout on Graviton Lance, so pretty effective against supers, to be honest with you. We take that second guy out, I blink away. I was thinking about resing my teammate, but I just got my super, so I just went in and threw that on the last guy. And I am so excited to show you guys this next clip, because this next clip almost made me uninstall Destiny 2 by itself. So me and this other teammate, right? Me and this Hunter, I believe. Yeah, me and the Hunter. We were kind of talking back and forth throughout the match, like doing our best, and both of us were fragging out. We brought it to a 4-4 match. The Titan on our team, not only was he probably eating crayons, he was eating shit, because there was no way this guy does not have shit for brains. But he made that play right there. He slid in. He put the bubble down. I went in the chat. I said, GG boys, we did it. That's it. And then he did this. Why? Why would you ever do that? All he had to do was sit in the bubble. My boy was part of World War II right there. He was hiding in the fucking bunkers of Berlin, baby. All he had to do was wait the airstrike out, but what did he do? He decided he wanted to get the morning news, and he walked outside for the fucking newspaper. I can't take it anymore, guys. I can't take these teammates. Sometimes I think there's no way that they exist. Everyone has brain cells, right? Every human is born with... No. There's no way that guy has brain cells. If that guy is anything except for a single fucking cellular amoeba, then I am baffled. Because there's 2 choices. Either he has no brain cells, or his dick is the size of the Washington fucking Monument. And that's why he did the ballsiest play that I have ever seen. But there's a difference between ballsy and stupid. And that guy just crossed the absolute line into Dum Dum Town. As my father would say, He fell down the stupid tree and he hit every fucking branch on the way down. Now, add that out of the way, we are on the last 2 clips here, so if you guys did enjoy the video, you want to leave me a like, subscribe, or hit that notification bell so you can see more in the future right to your inbox, then I would really appreciate that. That is it for me today, so I'm going to let this last play out for you guys, and just say, as always, have a great day, Guardians.